Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm Jan Graff, and as always, I'm joined by Lachlan Teely.
You say ready, and I said yes, and then I wasn't. On episode 196, huge Marvel news broke just after we stopped recording last week. So, Welcome to MCU Part 2, Age of Ultron / Age of Robert Downey Jr. That's a little spoiler there for what the news is going to hold.
MCU maybe back on track. Huge box office numbers. We'll get into those as well. And then I did my own version of the holiday. Lachlan went on a holiday and a work trip. And I ended up watching 14 movies that are way too big for me to have not seen them yet. They've been on my watch list for a long time, so I'll talk about that. I also watched a bunch of other stuff like the Sandy Cheeks SpongeBob movie, A24's Tuesday, and Apple's The Instigator with Casey Affleck, Matt Damon, and Hong Chow.
Finally, do you ever feel trapped under the weight of your previous work? M. Night Shyamalan, I'm talking to you since Trap just released and we wonder why we are going back to the cinema to see another one of your films, and we've been let down so many times, but will you let us down once again? Will we be surprised from what we see? I don't know. We'll talk about it later on. We saw Trap, and we'll talk about it.
For now, we'll trap you in an endless loop of our intro, so let's cue that up. We are professional.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there. Which actually,
did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
All right, Lachlan, welcome back. It's been a bit. We haven't talked in a minute. It's been very busy. So we got a bit of homework to do, to catch up. We'll do that at the start of the show, I assume.
Yeah.
I suggest.
Yeah. And
then we'll get into the news. If you're not interested in our personal stuff, then hey, just skip ahead. It's right there. Do whatever you please. But you came back from holiday. I kind of want to know a bit about your trip. You went on an RV trip, so yeah.
You say RV, but it was just my car.
Well, in spirit. In spirit,
yeah. We went down to Margaret River, me, the misso, and a couple of mates, and it was a little weekend getaway. Margaret River, for those who don't know, is a really well-known wine region, and also known for surfing, but it's a town about 3.5 hours from Perth, south, and it is one of my favorite locations to go to. It's gorgeous. Ewan, if you ever come here, I will drive you down to Margaret River so you can see some of the prettiest locations. Because people go, oh, Australia, barren wasteland, but then you see how pretty some of these places are down south. And it goes for the same if you go tropical in Queensland. It's also just rainforesty and spectacular. It's the same with Victoria as well. But went down there, and then I had to come back up a little bit earlier than everyone else to go fly over to Melbourne for a work conference. It wasn't really a work conference, and on day 2 I got really sick, so I'm pretty sure it probably would have been there's a lot of caves in Margaret River that you can go down, and we went down on a tour guide, and there was a bunch of people in that group, and obviously everyone's in a confined space, so I feel like I probably got sick from that, and then going to a work conference and flying all the way to Melbourne for them to do a conference for a whole day, and then hang out with some friends from work, go to the casino, lose some money. By the way, played my first ever blackjack hand. There was only one table free. I had $100 left. It was a $100 table, so I put $100 down on the blackjack table and got pulled out on a 15. I was like, I'm gonna have to hit. I have to risk this. Got to like 17, and I was like, stand. I'm not going any riskier than that. But then the guy got me on like an 18 or 19. I can't remember exactly what it was, and then I lost that. So, but other than that, I've been sick for the past. What is it today? We usually record on Fridays, and it's Sunday. And I have been sick from basically Tuesday up until really badly until like Friday, Saturday. And then today is the first day where I'm feeling not 100%, but not spectacular. This is why I sound terrible right now. I'm just, dude.
You're like
I'm
not
right
low
now.
enough to have like the raspy, I've smoked 20 cigarettes and I'm French type voice.
Yeah.
But you're getting there, or maybe you're getting away from it. My first thought was as well, maybe you were in the cave with the bats, so it's like the original like COVID that you got. You stepped on
Yeah, I got the
surgery on the
Morbius
bat.
condition or whatever it was.
The
We don't
Morbius
have
condition.
bats. We don't have bats over here.
No, but we like just the tease on the gaming channel that should be soonish coming a video out where we are watching Morbius. So just stay tuned for that. And we're also playing Chain Together. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, the video is still in the works. So that's fresh on our mind. It's going to be a busy couple of weeks. Kevin and I both got accredited for Venice. Finally, they were like so late. Like it was on the last day. Kevin was like, "Hey, this is my last day where I can actually say I can make plans for it. Otherwise, even if it comes later, I'll just have to cancel because everything's booked out. Venice is extremely expensive to cover, and yeah, we don't have a backer. So by the way, if someone wants to back us or they want some coverage from the festival, hit us up. We very much appreciate it.
Independent.
But we are we are going there on our own dime, basically. Working our asses off to get to see 60 movies in about 11 days. That's usually, you know, what ends up happening at these festivals. And I wouldn't trade it for any other thing. It's just like, it's very intense. It's very exhausting. And yeah, unfortunately, we don't get anything out of it much. But, you know, that's just the nature of the business. It's fine. That's going to be at the end of the month. And there's also a festival that starts 1 or 2 days after this episode goes live in Locarno. It's also one of the oldest film festivals. You know, Venice is the oldest one. It's has its 81st anniversary this year, and I don't know on what number Locarno is at, but definitely in the 70s. And I will be there the first couple of days from I guess Tuesday to Friday. So if you see me, come say hi. And later in the show, I'll have a bit of a preview of stuff that I got to see ahead of time. A couple of films from the Piazza Grande. That's like the biggest open air screen I think in the world. Is in Locarno, so that's kind of a neat thing to visit. And yeah, I've done it a couple of times now. I'm not down there for the festival itself, but more for like an industry thing. But regardless, I should be around. So yeah, come say hi if you see me. And then the biggest news, Lachlan, is that I got
bigger than that.
I got two kittens. I got two kittens.
Hey!
And
Pull 'em out.
farmers kittens.
Pull 'em out.
I would love to. I can assure you, one of them was called Hissy by the previous like owners, the farmers, because she hisses at every. Sometimes she just walks past you and just goes shh, and you know, it's like, so it's like she's not the most friendly. And I've only had them for this is I think the fourth or third day, and yeah, I'm slowly they're getting accustomed to me, and I could try to pull up one of them to get one of them, but the other one for sure is not gonna be super happy about it. But if you give me 1 second, I'll try and get it.
Go ahead. This is the favorite part of the podcast if you're an audio listener, because visually there's nothing happening. Audibly there's nothing happening. It is just me talking, Ewan trying to wrangle up a cat. We can try to guess what's behind him because he always changes what's behind him. I'm going to assume that's a Pikachu for sure. Oh, look he was able to wrangle a cat.
He's
this
not
is
very
an
happy
adorable
about
cat.
It. This is Mononoke.
Clearly not. That's Mononoke.
She doesn't like to be carried. No.
Really? For the love of God, please scratch him. Scratch him. Oh, tragedy. That would have been so entertaining.
What would have been
I was really hoping that he would have just scratched at you.
Haktua.
Haktua. That's, oh God, that's so funny.
Doesn't make sense, but... So they were playing. Sorry, I broke them up playing. One of them, I came into the room and she was hissing at me like she does with everyone and everything. Sometimes she just hisses at plants as well. She just like feels like it. But yeah, that was Mononoke, and the other one's called Haku. I can't get away from naming my cats after Studio Ghibli characters, and I'm not ashamed of it. So I feel like that's done with the personal update corner over here, so we can get into the news, Lachlan. There's some big news. Before we discuss what was announced at Comic-Con this year, we can also have a look at the quite... I don't know if it's surprising, but it's definitely reinstated the MCU in some ways with the box office run that Deadpool and Wolverine has had. Obviously, for an R-rated film, it did super well. Like, it had the best single day, the best weekend ever. It already is closing in on 700 million international. It will surely break $1 billion sooner than later. It's the fourth biggest opening for any MCU film, only behind Endgame, No Way Home, and Infinity War. So that's quite impressive. Obviously, you'd have to adjust for inflation there a bit, and you probably still be in like the top 6 or 7. Regardless, incredibly impressive for an R-rated film, for at least in the States, it should be doing that well. It had, I think, the biggest domestic for the States July opening weekend in a single day, like ever. So yeah, lots of that, and lots of people went to see it. I feel like a lot of people also went on repeats, and for the amount of stuff I've seen online already and it being memed and stuff, it's like, it's also hurting my brain a bit that like everyone is getting in on it. So a lot of like really incredibly unfunny people are making a lot of content about it. But that's just the nature of stuff being popular, I guess. But yeah, Lachlan, did you go back to watch Deadpool and Wolverine 7 more times?
7, no. But
Yeah.
Tanika does want to go see it again. So there is probably a possibility that we will go see it in cinemas. And I think
That's
that
the MCU
it
effect.
is... No,
just like-
it's
No?
the internet. I think that, one,
Yeah.
the internet has taken it by storm, but 2, it's one of the only films that has had a really good, like, soundtrack, like, needle drop soundtrack. Like, Bye
The
Bye
dance
Bye
is
has
I,
come
I
on
have I've
so
that's going
many
to be in my
times.
Spotify Wrapped. It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's been a week, and I think it's going to be in my Spotify Wrapped. Like
So-
that song, unironically, is like super fun to listen to. If you watch the music video, ironically, it's also a ton of fun.
I think there's a bunch of different aspects that makes this film quite rewatchable, and I think it's one of the first like all the Deadpools have been memeable, but it's one of the first easily rewatchable films because there is so much that happens in front of your face that you're probably wanting to go and see what's happening behind the scenes, right? You're going to go want to
Yeah.
rewatch, who did I miss in the back at Cassandra Nova's like base? Like, who did I miss? What characters there? So people are going to want to go back and rewatch it, and people are just going to go see it with a friend, and then their friend's like, hey, I didn't go see it. Come with me. I'm going to have a great time, even though I've seen it 4 times already. You're going to have a great time. So it's just one of those films that I think is easily rewatchable.
Like the one thing that I've seen a few too many times already now is like I'm gonna make a name for myself. Like that part of it. Like I've seen it so much in like, because it's so memeable. Also the dancing, I feel like a lot of people who, like I would never attempt to dance, but some actually pretty capable dancers doing that stuff. It's fun to see because it's such a fun dance to do. And then like that in the midst of Brat Summer, it's a nice time right now to be like on the internet for. I cannot always stomach around 2 minutes of TikTok, and then I'm like, I like sigh at something, and then I close out of the app again. But yeah, sometimes there's some good stuff on there. But then the big news, of course, is no, not the Michael Bay Skibidi Toilet. So we'll get to that in a second. But RDJ is back in the MCU. They revealed him to be the antagonist in the next couple of movies. I guess I don't know if he will be the antagonist for both Avengers films, but he's going to play Doctor Doom in Fantastic Four, which also noting here that Superman Legacy has wrapped filming, I think like 5 days ago, and Fantastic Four has started shooting 5 days ago, and they both are set to release in July 2025. I don't know how the fuck they'll do, like they want to pull off some of the release dates for the MCU slate. That putting aside, we'll have a look at the rest of the schedule for the MCU in a bit, but yeah, what do you think about RDJ being back in the MCU?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it has caused some extremely divisive opinions about the cinematic universe, about people playing different characters within the same universe, and I think that everyone does have a leg to stand on, but I do not think anyone is correct until we see what they do with him in Fantastic Four and eventually with Avengers. Are you more pro or against?
I don't give a shit. It's like I also don't give a shit that the Russo brothers are back. Maybe they work in this.
Yeah.
I don't really care. I mean, he's a capable actor, and I think for some of these people who have been in MCU flicks and then outside of them, similar like to. I don't know if it's a cause-effect relation between it or if they benefit within these stories the most. But like someone like Tom Holland hasn't found success outside of the MCU. RDJ has gotten an Oscar. So he has found it.
Yeah.
He's done his like, I got my Oscar, and now he's back to getting the bag, and he already was getting paid what was it, like percent, like 10% of the gross of the film, but then also like huge sum of the money up front, just like as his wage. I think he's just like in his back collecting era. One of the things that maybe have been lacking from the MCU was not a certain scale, because I feel like they just failed to do the scale correctly. They've bloated the budgets so incredibly like full. And I don't think giving the Russo brothers, who have worked with incredibly big like budgets on other projects that didn't have the same return, they're not going to like save money on anything. Then they're going to have like a shit ton of people who cost a lot. I know the Avengers stuff, they said like they have 60 characters in them. That's not going to be cheap. Which to me, surprisingly, Deadpool and Wolverine supposedly has a production budget of 200 million. That could have easily been like 250. Not that it's cheap, but I mean, it clearly has made its money back. Ultimately, I think IDJ is a good actor. I'm not that familiar with the fantastic lore outside of the movies that we've gotten. And I know who Doctor Doom is and whatever, but I didn't see him as like the main antagonist of this whole like next saga. So I'm interested to do what they do with him, what his motivation is going to be. I think it's not all just up to RJ, because he can bring the charisma. We know that. It's just, is also the writing going to be shit? Or are they going to actually make a compelling story over these 3 movies of Fantastic Four, Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars? And then I guess in between, Captain America didn't look too great. And I think they got Thunderbolts also in the lineup in 2025. So after, like, how many Marvel movies did we get? Is Deadpool and Wolverine the only Marvel film in 2024? It is, right?
Yes.
So after that, taking a bit of going on the back burner, they are back to doing 4 movies, or at least they plan to do 4 movies in 2025. Captain America: Brave New World on February 14th. The Thunderbolts on May 2nd. I haven't heard much from that, but I guess they also were at Comic-Con with all the people in it. And then Fantastic Four on July 25th, and then Blade on November 7th. And well, I don't know. We'll have to wait on that. And then in 2026, February 13th, they currently have a date that doesn't have a title yet. Avengers Doomsday on May 2nd, May 1st, and then on November 6th, also a title to be announced. And then in 2027, they have Secret Wars on May 7th, and then in July and November, 2 other dates where there's no movie attached to it yet. I assume one of these films has to be the next Spider-Man film. Any other speculation with the rest of these, like the 4 films that they have dates for but no movies yet, are going to be?
So are you saying from after Doomsday, or the one before Doomsday and afterwards?
Do you think like Spider-Man is going to be the one before or after?
Okay, so I think what they'll do is they'll go, so what's this? Captain America: Brave New World, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Blade. Then they're gonna go and do Spider-Man. That makes sense, right? Get a Spider-Man.
To have him in Avengers, right? They have kind of had the reset with Spider-Man. Yeah, they need to fold him back in.
There. Avengers Doomsday. Like, cool, sweet. Avengers, There we go, sweet. Big cinematic moment event. And then afterwards, right, we have to have a movie that isn't as grand scale. Like they did this with Infinity War, right? Then they did Ant-Man. They're like, the fuck? Like,
yeah.
What the fuck? Why are we going to do Ant-Man?
Captain
now, right?
Marvel free.
Fuck. You took my joke.
I'm sorry.
I was building up to that. I was gonna be like, and Carol Danvers, she comes back. All right, cool, fine.
Yeah.
More serious then. Okay, let's go more serious.
Yeah.
Let's do a She-Hulk movie. Just after Avengers Doomsday, and then 2027. Jesus, 2027. I mean, that's only like what, 3-4 years away. It's not even that. Not even that far. 3 years away. Avengers Secret War.
No, when's X-Men coming?
Oh,
yeah.
Of course.
There's got to be an X-Men, right?
Oh, dude, they fucked up. There's got to be an X-Men in there. Okay, so 2026 is X-Men or Avengers Doomsday, then X-Men.
Yeah. Go Doomsday into X-Men, maybe.
And then your X-Men come in during Secret Wars, and they were like, "Where the fuck were you when Doctor Doom rocked up?" Yeah. And we're like, "Doctor Doom? We thought that was Iron Man."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dude has the same face.
Sounds good. I mean, so we're saying there's a Spider-Man movie in there, there's a Captain Marvel movie in there. There's an X-Men movie in there, and Spider-Man
Howard the
and
Duck.
X-Men. Howard the Duck. There's no more Guardians, you know. I
Yeah,
don't
we
think
don't know that. Eternals? Actually,
Eternals
I
too.
did read that there were going to be no more Eternal movies.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that, but
Isn't
there
there
might
going to
be.
be a Shang-Chi?
Oh
Shang-Chi
yeah,
2?
I think they had that in the works. I don't know if I don't know. I don't know. The thing is, I don't know what they're doing at the moment at like Marvel, because the Blade thing, you know, already hasn't worked. So doing much more, I don't know. And
What do you mean? Blade is slated for next year.
of course, it's coming out.
It's going to come out.
Dude, it's also like it's crazy that I think Thunderbolts is probably done shooting. I don't know, but Fantastic Four really like that's going to be a sharp turnaround for a movie of its scale. I don't know. I think Deadpool and Wolverine did well enough for you and maybe also for me that obviously I'm not gonna skip out on these movies. I'm still gonna like cover them, and I think they have another chance here. And those announcements, I think they were good announcements because they're big enough, even if you don't like it, that you're at least interested enough to pay attention to the MCU for the Avengers films. And I don't know if like whatever new team they were kind of creating that never really connected, if you would have cared if there's not like something big that draws you back in, and that could be Fantastic Four, and that could be RDJ as Doctor Doom. So, yeah, they might be on a decent track here.
You know, it makes that one joke in Deadpool where it's like, we're going to be doing this until we're 80. Really,
Yeah.
really funny with Robert Downey Jr. Like, he is stuck. He's going to be doing
Yeah.
this forever.
And I guess Wolverine also will be back. I guess, sorry, spoilers for Wolverine, but I guess he will be back as well. But yeah, speaking of superhero stuff, moving on from the MCU to the Boys universe, which is kind of funny that like, you know, a universe that's so poking fun or tries to poke fun at the commercialization of maybe real superheroes in their world is doing this many spin-offs. But season 2 of Gen V is gonna come out in 2025, will lead into The Boys season 5, the final season in 2026. There's also a series called The Boys Mexico in early development with Diego Luna and Gael Garcia Bernal producing. There's also VOD Rising. That's a prequel where Jensen Ackles and Ava Cash are set to return. And yeah, the scripts are now being written. The latter one there, Ava Cash plays the Nazi character, and Jason Ackles is Soldier Boy. Which spoilers for the end of season 4 of Boys. Skip ahead 10 seconds. He will be back in season 5 regardless. They showed him there. Interesting choices, but Lachlan, are you locked in for The Boys, or is it for you once the series is done? Are you gonna continue watching?
I'm okay with watching it. I don't think I'm engaged to just continuously want to watch it, but we'll see how it goes. I thought that Gen V was quite good. I did not
Agreed,
like
yeah.
this most recent season, and I think that Diego Luna does get me quite excited to see him. I love him. He's great. And VOD Rising, I'm really a big fan of Jensen Ackles since I'm doing my really, 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 really forever. I'm going to be doing this until I'm 80. First ever watch of Supernatural. I watched
They have
one
wraps though,
episode.
right?
Yeah, but
It's
you know
done,
how
okay.
I keep. You know how every so often
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I watched a couple more episodes of Supernatural. It's just super random. I'm just like, all right, couple episodes on, and just make my way through. Tanika has rewatched it at least 4 or 5 times since I have
The
started
entire show?
doing. Yeah, she loves it.
Oh, okay, well that's great. I mean,
We
yeah,
were
it's-
driving down to Margaret River, and she goes, "I think I might rewatch Supernatural," and I'm like, "Again?"
Yeah, it's a nice comfort watch, and Jensen Ackles is pleasing to look at. I feel like, you know, he has that sort of aura. So equally pleasing to look at is Skibidi Toilet. Do you get my Phantom tax, Lachlan? Ohio, no Riz. Michael Bay, explosions and guys being stuck in toilets. Yeah, so Michael Bay is producing a movie and TV franchise for Skibidi Toilet. And I, for sure, you know, not a day goes by where I don't think that the dead internet theory holds a lot of, like, validation. You know? Like, the more I go on the internet, I feel like there's no real people here anymore. Michael Bay, I don't know, Lachlan, what do you think?
Well, I have no. So I felt really embarrassed because I had no idea what this was.
You don't know what Skibidi Toilet is.
I shut up. I don't. I don't
Bro,
know what it is.
You're so Ohio, man. Jesus Christ.
Dude,
You're so
okay, I
fucking
don't know.
old.
So I'm watching it right now. I'm watching the first. I'm watching season 1.
Episode. It's basically just YouTube shorts that tell the story of like the cameraman and the Skibidi Toilet people, and there's a war, and it's made in Half-Life's creator thing. There's an obsession with it, and it's also like been a term that's been used by the youth, by Gen Alpha, which by the way, Gen Alpha is I think 14 and younger. So I have no one in my life that I could like ask if they know what Skibidi Toilet is. I guess if I still worked at a school, I could. But yeah, I think what it means is like that it actually doesn't mean anything. And it's like an in-between word that you just say, and it's like the whole thing is just drenched in irony. But I think the people who are using it are also too young, and they're just like saying something popular to say something.
This dude has 43 million subscribers. This is wild.
Yeah, it's huge. I
Holy
have
shit.
not seen much of it myself, but just for curiosity's sake. I don't think you could say there's also. I know a lot of people are like, there's lore and there's like a storyline. Maybe loosely there is kinda, but if that's the type of narrative storytelling that we're going towards, then I think we're like our brains are so smooth and we're going to die in 5 years.
This is wild.
Yeah, right. We'll check back in like an hour and a half when Lachlan's done watching all the Skibidi Toilet videos. I feel like he's locked in. He's connecting with the younger generation. Yeah, maybe we should do a video where we react to the entirety of Skibidi Toilet. I noticed that would get some views.
Still better than Songbird.
Sure, which I don't think anyone knows that movie. I don't think it like beyond that 5-minute release window it had. And we got a new KJ Apa movie coming out this week. This time he's on a motorbike. He's not delivering. I guess in that other one, was he also on a bike? Dude,
Okay, let's play a game. How much money did Songbird make?
It was. Did it come out in theaters?
I'm gonna say 5. No, I don't even want to say 500. I'm gonna say 100. Yeah, I'm gonna say 100. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't searched it. I have no idea. I'm gonna go.
Well, I don't think they don't give out the numbers for VOD stuff, so I don't think it came out in theaters.
Okay,
right?
so let's just okay. Let's I'm on IMDb. I haven't looked at it yet. How much did it make? 327
bucks.
1,000.
Okay. I mean, that's not. Again, I don't. It had a. It says the box office on Google. It says like 1 million. I guess they rounded up.
You motherfucker! You're already looking at it.
Well, wait, that was your guess? 325.
Yeah.
I just Googled the movie to see when it came out, and it said it at the bottom there, the like 1 million. I guess it came out at the end of 2020, and there were maybe some releases there. The turnaround to do a COVID movie was crazy, like that fast.
Songbird made $620,000, and it was all international.
Right, because they didn't have COVID on the moon.
Dude, it was Russia bringing it home. Their opening was $134,000. The next closest was Hong Kong with 47,000.
Not too shabby, but yeah, I was so confused at this announcement that like Michael Bay is involved with this, because it seems like, hey, director, producer goes for something that's popular right now and probably doesn't understand why it's popular. I don't understand why it's popular.
This is going to come back. This exact conversation is going to come back very shortly.
Okay, well, looking forward to it. But
you
want to do some quick news?
With Trap.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we'll do some quick news. Great news for everyone who enjoyed In a Violent Nature. It has got a sequel in the works, which is exciting.
Not great news from some of the female cast members and extras in Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis, because maybe he came up to you and started kissing you for no reason and without consent. There's been complaints lodged at the director ahead of the Megalopolis release later in September.
Game actors are on strike. GTA 6 is not affected.
Then Superman Legacy has wrapped filming, with Fantastic Four First Steps, interesting name there, by the way, starting its production. Both have set a release date for July 2025.
Xavier Dolan is returning to filmmaking with an upcoming horror film set in the 1800s France.
Yeah, I met him this year in Cannes. He was one of the judges for Un Certain Regard, so that's a bit of a flex there. And I'm very much looking forward to his movies. Mummy, great film that you got to check out. Then Universal has landed the rights for Britney Spears' memoir, The Woman in Me, for a biopic adaptation directed by John M. Chu. Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt's Plan B were also going for it. Essentially, there was a frenzy for every studio, like Sony, Warner Brothers, Disney, and Netflix, all were bidding for it, but Universal has come out on top.
Squid Game Season 2 will release on December 26th this year and will end in 2025 with Season 3.
The production on Danny and Michael Philippous's A24 horror film Bring Her Home has wrapped.
Paul Thomas Anderson's next film, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, finally has a title, The Battle of Batkin Cross.
Then, with a lot of excitement for Kevin, especially our producer that's going to us to Venice, there was an announcement that Horizon and American Saga Part 1 is going to screen on the closing day of the festival after it's been taken off the theatrical release in September, unfortunately. So report back from the festival. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to not miss that. And Lachlan, let's have a look at some trailers. First up, the first season of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, was rather underwhelming. It might have started off as like an interesting fantasy world to get transported back to, and then I think it just kind of lost. It lost on every level. It lost. So
against House of Dragon.
Definitely, and now I guess it learned from that. House of the Dragon is wrapping its second season. By the time this episode comes out, we'll do like a spoiler review for that season then next week. But yeah, Rings of Power also isn't too far away. I think it comes out in this month in August. What did you think of like the first look of the second season?
For a TV show that I felt started off quite strong and ended up being quite poor, I am keen to see you die. Are you dying? Are you okay?
My cats were playing. They ran under the camera, and then one of them jumped up my leg with their claws out. And I'm
excellent. That's exactly what I was hoping for earlier on. I'm finally glad I thought of that, and then it finally happened.
He manifested it.
I'm keen for Rings of Power Season 2. I actually thought this trailer was quite well done when it comes to trailer standards. I think it built up quite a lot of hype. There is a lot at stake here. I don't know. I think it looks really good. Like visually, I had no problems with any of the CGI that they did in the first season. Compared to House of Dragon, which I feel like sometimes the dragons are just a little bit too rough. I feel like they put a lot of money into the look of the Rings of Power, and I mean that's what's going to happen when you have the most expensive TV show of all time, and you have Jeff Bezos's pockets, which, from my knowledge, is deeper than the Mariana Trench.
You're keen for it? I think the only issue I have, someone who has a bald head, sometimes it's really like classy and shiny, and I feel like this whole show. I wouldn't either. That's why I'm always wearing hats.
Exactly.
But it's got to be like some kind of fluid that they use to keep everything so like shiny. And I think the whole series of Rings of Power just seems so artificial and like glossy and clean in a way. And that's why I can forgive in House of the Dragon when some of the background stuff with the fire and then darkness in the front end, it doesn't look 100% real, but I can just ignore it. I can't really with Rings of Power because it feels like that's the whole world. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's just maybe a sort of I don't know how to describe glossiness in those terms, but that, like the look of it, I'm not a fan for Rings of Power. Although the second season, the trailer does definitely look better than season 1. Yeah, sorry, I cut you off. You were saying you were keen for it, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm keen for it. Full stop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And then we got a trailer for an upcoming Netflix movie called Spellbound with Rachel Zegler, Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem, John Lithgow, Nathan Lane, and it's an animated film where there's a kid called Elian. She's a princess, and her parents are monsters. So she gets like magical powers to defend her family from opposing forces of light and darkness that threaten to divide her kingdom. Yeah, like some coming of age. I think there's also, I think it's a musical. It's from the director who did Shrek. You know, she did Shrek. So no, it's not a musical actually. I thought there was some music in it just because Rachel Zegler can sing. Yeah, she was co-directing the first Shrek movie with Andrew Adamson, and Vicky Jensen is leading this one. Lachlan's falling asleep because he doesn't care about this type of movie, but I just let him sleep there. You know, he's tired. He's a tired little boy. So I feel like Lachlan is going to do the coverage for this one. I'm going to skip it, but he knows how much I love Rachel Zegler and everything she does. So he's just going to take that away from me because he doesn't want me happy.
Do I have to?
Yeah, that's it. No, you don't. I don't think this. When does it have its release date set? I don't think.
Never.
This is,
It's not coming out.
for a time, Netflix also never had anything in the description. It's just always said Netflix is a streaming service. There's also like 17 other movies that are called Spellbound. There's also one from I think the 60s that I've seen that is great. But this comes out in November. I'm sure that on November 22nd we have something better to do than to watch Spellbound. At least you. I never have. But yeah.
Well, what
Lachlan,
date was it? What date was it? What date was it?
November 22nd. Oh,
I thought you said December. Fuck.
Nah,
Never mind.
Nah.
I actually had an excuse for December 22nd, but bugger. Maybe I can get them to move the engagement party. Hang on, I'll text them.
Spellbound is more important.
Yeah, can you guys move your engagement party to the date of this movie so I don't have to
watch a
cover it,
Netflix
please?
animated movie.
Please,
if it
for the
were
love of God.
the Zack Snyder one, then I'd understand, but not for Spellbound. Anyways, again, another reminder that you can leave a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your podcast app of choice, and subscribe on YouTube, leave a like, recommend the show to any other film aficionados that love to hear the latest from the movie news and reviews. And you can also use our links from Amazon. We get a kickback whenever you buy anything. You know, you don't even have to buy the thing that's linked to. Just helps us keep our ship afloat. I don't think there's anything else to shout out, Lachlan, so we can get to the stuff that, the collective we've been watching here more applies to me, I guess.
Yeah.
Can I read out what you wrote here?
Sure.
In the What We've Been Watching segment, under Lachlan's thing, he says, I've been away, baby girl. I've been on holiday gambling. I've been on holiday and gambling. Sorry, not on holiday. Just
I
gambling.
don't have a gambling problem. Okay, I don't have a gambling problem. I just want to. I've already spoken about gambling now twice. I don't.
Whenever he talks about like getting the jackpot, he's actually talking about the Aquafina and John Cena movie that's coming up later this month. Not gambling.
I haven't been back to work, and I know I've got a ton of DVDs sitting there for when I get back of like Civil War on 4K. I know that Challenges has come out on Blu-ray, so there will be movies for me to show off hopefully next week.
I'm looking forward to that, and I will be back from Locarno by then, so there's no break, which I guess I could have done it at the top of the show, but I think we'll take like 1 week break in between episode 200, and we gotta get you on that episode as well, even though it's going to be mainly about Venice. I think maybe we can make something that, because I feel like we don't have anything. I know if you go back to our episode 100, it was just crazy that we've done over 100 video episodes at this point. We did something special there. It was actually quite a fun episode to go back to. And we don't have anything special planned for this one. Maybe we got to save it for 250. Maybe 250 can also be a special one. I watched a ton of stuff while you were gone, especially like I basically made a holiday out of watching or trying to complete another one of these Letterboxd strings that you get. And one of them is for I think top fans on Letterboxd, which means movies get put in there by the amount of top fours that it pops up in. So not by rating or anything, or not by likes or whatever, but on the top four stuff. And Lachlan, I just wanted you to have a look at the list and maybe see what pops out. I'll like read through them so you can kind of hear, but there's some big movies that I haven't seen before and I finally made time for it. And there's a couple left, a couple big ones that I want to get to. We can get to those in a second. What do you
Yes,
think?
I'm here.
Did I do good work? Good work on catching up on those?
I have. It's this list here, right? This one I'm looking at here. All right, cool, sweet. I want to know what you thought of this.
Mulholland Drive. I was as confused as I feel like I expected to be. And as soon as I finished, for starters, I had to watch a couple of like video essays on it to say what they thought of it, because maybe I thought something different of it. And I was just kind of confused. I didn't really get it. And once they contextualized it, it worked better for me. That was similar experience to watching Paul Thomas Anderson's Phantom Thread. I kind of needed someone to like say it back to me. And it's a movie that I feel like gets better on each watch. You can attest to that. You've seen it more than once, Lachlan. Is that your experience with Mulholland Drive?
Yeah, I definitely believe it does get better on the rewatches. So I'd love to see what you think. Maybe a year or so down the track, we like a new thing comes out. We watch it on that. So yeah, I'd be keen to see what you think in the future. But that's an exciting one. I'm glad you had a.
I liked it.
Good.
I just
saw your review for Trap. Fantastic.
Yeah,
sorry.
you're spoiled. I have no clue what Lachlan thinks of Trap, by the way. Our producer Kevin actually liked it a lot. I think it's like in his top 15 of the year. He asked to come on the podcast, and I was like, no, I'm not talking to you. You are clearly medically insane. He gave it a 4-star. I don't know, but well, I guess that spoils a bit what we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, it will be probably, if I get to it, work on like a video on this list, because I feel like it's kind of interesting to see what kind of movies resonate.
You watched
with Letterboxd?
Scissorhands. That's nice.
I've never seen it before. Nice preparation for Beetlejuice as well. That one is not on the list though. I still have to get to it.
Oh, you've seen Presumed Innocent. That's nice.
I did watch the series. Well, I actually, that's one of the points I have on the top and flop, which I'd say they're both like kind of mid. Couldn't really decide on it. I think Presumed Innocent, the film, is good. The series adds a bit more depth, and Jake Gyllenhaal can.
What's Elliot Page? Sorry, I know this is not on your list, but what's Elliot Page?
No, it is on my list. That is on my short review thing. I'll get to it in a second.
Okay.
Lachlan's getting excited about what I watched.
Sorry.
You're trying to look for my ratings. If you want to hear like what was the worst thing of what worst film I've seen of these,
I can probably guess.
Oh wait.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 days. Look, as someone who got forced to watch this movie, I think that's a fantastic movie. I gave it 3.5 stars.
No, you don't. Really?
But to be fair, I was rating it in front of my girlfriend, and I wrote as I went like I start at 5 and I go down, and it was like and I was like
you better go back.
I went up, and I was like, no, I can't do
as
this.
You
I
scale
can't go
back
this far.
Look, it's like a digital interface, right? We're all in our Apple Vision Pros, and that's the life that we live. The more you go down, the more like the bed gets smaller, it gets into a single bed, and the couch appears. I was like,
yeah,
you need to go sleep there. No, I don't think it's a good movie. I feel like it's decent. It's not like none of these films were actually bad, but I was surprised. I was expecting a bit more from the Florida Project. I didn't really connect with that. When Harry Met Sally actually holds up super well. I didn't like Marie Antoinette that much. I feel like the type of girl core that I don't know, those that are popular with a lot of women on the site, I didn't love. Something that is universally loved, It's a Wonderful Life. I at first thought people rewatch this right as a Christmas movie each year. It might be like overly nostalgic in the way that they view it, or like it's cheesy, and then it's just like a incredibly wonderful movie, and you're like, what the fuck did I even, like, my preconceived notions of judging this film before I'd even seen it. And Frank Capra is an incredible filmmaker. The couple of films that I got to see, 2 of them, I guess, so far, from my series that I did last year on Best Picture winners, It Happened One Night and You Can't Take It With You, are both incredible movies, and I will be watching more of his. Some great stuff from the 40s and 30s. Crazy that like his movies hold up to nowadays. And yeah, if you want to feel in a sad mood, Manchester by the Sea, God, that movie is depressing. But it's also like it's so real in the way that like how, not the story or whatever, but how Casey Affleck portrays this person. And I would even go as far as like to say person, not character. It's really effective. What else is on here? Heathers was a ton of fun. I ended up noticing that a lot of films I hadn't seen and that pop up on a lot of these lists is anything that Winona Ryder is in. Seems to be like super popular. There was Girl Interrupted, Heathers, and then Edward Scissorhands. A film that I'm truly baffled as to why it is on the list is The Parent Trap, where Lindsay Lohan plays like two versions of herself, two sisters. One of them is British and the other one's American. And it's I don't know. I don't know why it's so people love it so much. But yeah, if I look at the list, I have 13 to go of what I haven't seen. Among them, maybe something that you've seen already. I haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth. That's one of them that I still have to see. I know. It's I don't know. I just never got around to it. And the reason why I can't finish the list really quickly is because two of the films on the list are the Eva movie, the Neon Genesis Evangelion, and you have to watch the whole series before that. And the other one's the Twin Peaks movie. And I also haven't seen Twin Peaks.
Firewalk with me? Firewalk with me?
So I do have to watch Twin Peaks to finish that. Yeah.
All 3 seasons?
So I will be getting onto that. I kind of wanted to finish it over like the summer, but I don't think that's realistic. But I will probably finish it by fall, end of the year. I do want to definitely complete another Ring by the end of the year. And it's a ton of fun. If you use Letterboxd Pro or Patreon, you get that. A little bit of a shout out to them, as they are also sponsoring the Locarno Film Festival. So before I give like my short thoughts on some more recent releases, there's also the upcoming Locarno Film Festival that's going to be happening. I won't be there long. I think I'm leaving on Friday. It starts on Wednesdays. I'm literally only there for the first 3 days. But I got to see Sea-Torn and Mexico 86. They both are playing in on the Piazza Grande on 10th of August, which is basically the biggest open air theater in the world. It has so many seats. I got to see Bennett. Was that the Netflix movie Bennett played there? That's one of the films I got to see on that huge screen. I know one of these films is still on embargo, so I can just shout out that, hey, they exist. Sea-Torn actually has a short out. I don't know if it's still available on YouTube, but it's basically like a Rube Goldberg type machine set up for a crime thriller with a female lead that uses threads. Yeah, as confusing as that sounds, it kind of comes together in the short. It's actually like really innovative, and the director who did this is like 24, and he did this like I think when he was like 18. Got a bunch of awards for it. Is the youngest member to something with like AFI to get inducted there. So lots of praise that got his way. I feel like he has a very dynamic and young camera feel for this new one. And I'm interested to see what people think of it. And then 2 other films that are going to play at the Piazza Grande is The Seed of the Sacred Fig from the Iranian filmmaker who got held and almost didn't get to go to Cannes. Amazing film, probably the 3rd or 4th best that I've seen coming out of this year's Cannes. So if you can, give that a try if you're around Locarno. And then Sauvages is an animated claymation film by the studio that did My Life as a Zucchini. It's a Swiss production studio. Also, I found that one quite charming. And yeah, for the rest of the festival, usually I gotta say Locarno is rather underwhelming for its long-running histories. It just doesn't get the huge releases. They rarely have like American films. I think this year they don't even have anything from Hollywood or from the States even. So quite niche cinema overall. But that's that. Then a couple of top and flop. Kite Man, hell yeah. The first couple of episodes I thought were kind of mid to bad. Time Bandits, I watched the movie. I feel like it doesn't really hold up to me. I don't know. I wasn't really charmed with it. I didn't love it. And I watched the first couple of episodes of the Apple TV Plus show. That one is quite bad. The movie definitely has a bit more going for it. And then, Lachlan, I don't know if you heard of Smiling Friends. It seems to be like another... Okay, so I don't get it. I found none of it really funny. I found it incredibly unfunny. I watched the whole 2 seasons because it's only like 12 minutes an episode. I don't think I laughed a single time. I just didn't find it funny at all. Have you seen it?
Yeah. So I just don't think you're gonna.
I just don't think you have humor. Like, You're just
Whoa,
doing-
whoa, 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 whoa.
Putting words in your mouth. I'm sorry.
You're not gonna get. You're not okay. You're not gonna. Fuck. Okay. You're not gonna understand a lot of this because a lot of this is just Australian humor.
Is it from
Yeah. You're not,
Aussie blokes? We do this.
so I know Michael Cusack. He's done a couple of like the animated ones, and then I'm trying to remember the name of the other guy. Whose name is not coming to me right now.
I mean, I get the appeal.
Yeah.
I get the appeal, but to me, it's like it definitely feels more like a very well done YouTube animated show and not like a ready to be published on TV type thing. And not that there's like not quality on YouTube, you know. It still rarely exists. The issue is just that animation, the amount of work that you put in, the video length, it doesn't pay off money wise to do it.
Mhm.
To me, like I don't know, the characters were just not charming. The jokes were incredibly predictable to me, and I don't know. I just didn't really find it funny. It feels like SpongeBob elements on meth, and meth and speed and all of the drugs, not really in a good way. Not that meth in any sort of way would be good. Moving on. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about like Smiling Friends?
No.
Like
no.
why? No? Okay. And then for our upcoming Western deep dive, by the way, teasing it here, a 6-part series going over the entire history of the Western. It's not like we're setting ourselves up to fail
My
here.
God.
Yeah,
No.
we are inching closer towards getting the first episode done. And for that, Kev and I watched Destry rides again together. It was so much fun. I was like, hey, we should do a audio commentary for this one so we can upload it. And I was like, nah, I don't think we'll like talk much, is what he said. And then we were laughing like every 2 minutes, like fucking like knee slap shit. It's really, really great. James Stewart is just one of the best leading men. Yeah, we are basically covering the first 4 decades of the genre until like until 1940, and this one came out in 1939. It also stars Marlene Dietrich. It's notable for that type of Western that had like not just the stereotypical female characters that the genre was known for, but like basically she is the main driving force of being like that controls the whole town essentially, and it is a ton of fun. I can very much recommend it, and also go check out our Western episode when it comes out. Worth your time. All right, like a couple other things. I'm sorry, it's just like there's too much that came out, too much stuff to watch, too much stuff that I do have to get to. The Sandy Cheeks movie for Netflix, Saving Bikini Bottom. It's been a while since I've seen a horrible animated movie. Oh no, wait, I've just seen the Minions. Here's another fucking yellow piece of shit. That annoys me. This movie is so bad. I don't know, on every level. The trailer itself had so many fucking stereotypes of you branch over to a side character, so you have to introduce like their family. They did it with, I think, trolls as well. It's just like so formulaic and boring and lame, and it's so unfunny as well. It was a pain to sit through this one. You know, if you want to have good laughs, and I feel like The Instigator kind of dropped so far without much impact in theaters. I feel like it's not the best weekend to start with Deadpool and Wolverine. But Doug, I guess no, it came out the week after, but still, with Trap, I guess. Doug Liman is back with another film that is he moved from Amazon, didn't have the greatest relationship with all the drama that happened there, and is now partnering up with Matt Damon and Casey Affleck, among others, Hong Chow, Michael Stuhlbarg, Paul Walter Hauser. There's Toby Jones, there's Jack Harlow is in this, Ron Perlman. Just a lot of famous people also pop up for just like smaller roles as well. And it's basically about this guy who doesn't really know what to do, is in therapy, and he ends up kidnapping his therapist for a heist. When he basically doesn't know what to do anymore. He's on the verge of, being very suicidal. The banter is like very dry, which I feel like is gonna not work for a lot of people. I feel like the people who didn't like Roadhouse are also not gonna like Instigators, but I kind of liked Roadhouse. So yeah, Lachlan, I feel like you'll probably enjoy it as well. And then close to you, yeah, you were asking about that one just before. Elliot Page, Dominic Savage's movie here that premiered last year at TIFF is now has now come out. I think on I don't know if it has come out yet, but I got a screener for it. It comes out on September 17th, so I guess I got a bit ahead of myself to cover it. But I guess I'll mention it again once it comes up. But I thought this was just like a really sincere story about like transitioning and then getting back to your family, where a lot of stuff maybe has gone unspoken. Like Elliot Page's character, he returns years after leaving for the city and not really keeping his family in the loop. And the story is then way more concerned about like reconnecting and not really dramatizing a bigoted character or a father who's disappointed. Or like, no, it stays way more realistic in a way that we as humans and family are likely to be empathetic for the people who we've put into the world, and we just want the best for them. And even though we want that, there can still be a lot of hurt that we cause each other. And this movie really centers around that sort of theme. And I found it to be like a incredibly refreshing take on taking this trans story into a direction that's not like just focused on the hurt and the trauma or like the performative healing, but just also the continued existing and coexisting. I'm just like rambling words here, but I feel like it's just one that I would recommend pretty much everyone sees, because it's going to teach you a lot about empathy as well. And yeah, I found that one really great. And then lastly, I watched Tuesday. This is an A24 film where there's a parrot that represents death, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in it. And she plays a very busy mother that is not coming to terms with her teenage daughter's illness. She speaks British, that's her illness. But no, she is like paralyzed, she can't walk. And this parrot kind of interacts with her and tells her, you're going to die tonight. And they're prolonging her death. And it's basically like it's as artsy and out there as it sounds. And for like half of the movie, I wasn't in for it. And I think then the movie ends in an incredible, like, powerful way that I didn't expect it to like pull it around. But if you're not in for the premise of a parrot that is deaf to shrink down and get overly large and talk in a raspy voice, then it's probably not going to be a movie for you. I also thought it's not going to be a movie for me, but yeah, it's worth checking out. I'd say not a miss from A24 overall. But my God, Lachlan, I'm sorry to keep you waiting for so long. We're over an hour into this episode, and we are only now finally getting to M. Night Shyamalan's Trap. So let's get to it.
A father and teen daughter attend a pop concert where they realize they're at a center of a dark and sinister event.
Wait, what? Wait, what is that logline? I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the official
You're the
one.
one who
Did they
wrote
have
it up
one?
there.
No, I know, but it's also, I think, representative of whatever the fuck M. Night thinks he's writing for his characters, because that's as unintelligible as most of the dialogue. I feel like a better logline is that they have like as a tag here: 30,000 fans, 300 cops, 1 serial killer, no escape. So that's Trap. If you haven't seen it yet, I think it doesn't make much sense to talk about the film in a non-spoiler way. Like, I don't know if you have anything against that. Do we jump straight into spoilers for this review, or do you want to keep it spoiler-free? Okay, we're going to jump into spoiler-full. So if you haven't seen it, I think just before you click off, if you haven't, is that this movie is the most straightforward M. Night film that you'll ever see. I think it's kind of steers into the opposite direction of trying to pull the rug under from you. I think it still has those moments within the story, but I don't know how effective they are. It ultimately wants to be a really captivating thriller that focuses especially on the lead performance. In my opinion, it doesn't really succeed on any level in that, but it's been received kind of okay-ish so far. For M. Night, I don't know how all over the place his ratings usually are, but the most favorable place is over on IMDb with a 6.2, followed by Letterboxd with a 3, and then on Metacritic, I can resonate with those critics at a 53. It also was made for a budget of $30 to $40 million. And what's notable about M. Night is that he has his own production studio that produces most of his films. That means also when a movie, like most of his films that make a return, he actually gets to keep that profit and make more movies from it. Which I feel like ultimately, regardless of what I think of the film, it's just it's a good thing. You know, that kind of self-production. Sometimes you feel like, hey, maybe we should have gotten another pass of someone who needs to look over the script, maybe like a dozen times more. But hey, it's just what you get with M. Night. It's also like a breezy 105 minutes long, so it's not too long, not too short, but especially for a thriller. Usually, I feel like in a thriller, you can get to 2 hours if the suspense can be kept up and it is done right. Which I feel like speaks to the premise of this film that it like doesn't really succeed in my opinion. But enough bashing. I have no clue if Lachlan gave this a 5-star or a 1-star. So what did you think of Trap, Lachlan?
Oh man. So remember how earlier you were like, I don't understand why is it like this guy seeing something popular on the internet and then is making something out of it, right?
Yeah.
I feel like across the board with M. Night's filmography, excluding a couple films, right? But it's quite common in his original ideas is that at the core of an M. Night Shyamalan movie, there is a fantastic idea. And I can tell you for a fact, this is a fantastic idea, right? You had me at 30,000 fans, 300 cops, 1 serial killer. That is a 90s-esque like tagline to have on like this action thriller, and I totally thought there was going to be this really wicked suspense building like hour and a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the film does, in my opinion, a fairly decent job with giving you what you want in that first 2 acts, and we can kind of separate it into 3 acts, but we can kind of go act 1 and 2 is split between 3 once they leave the stadium.
Well, yeah.
If I'm personally honest, once they leave the stadium, the writing in terms of narrative goes completely ballistic. And I think that before that, what's quite apparent is the terrible dialogue between characters. My God, is it stale? Is it stale? It is stale.
It is stale.
People trying to do their best. I'm gonna give Josh Hartnett a pass here because he is doing his fucking best in this role, and I have to admit, I really did enjoy him in this role. I think he does a fantastic job switching between dad, murderer, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And I think that he does a fantastic job not only doing that visibly in his face, but audibly with the way he presents things, and more importantly, physically. He has a physical change. Now, we're not talking the same physical change that you might have in Split, right? Where like physically like changes, right? But he still does a fantastic job. And I think that at the core, Cooper is he's our anchor being of this movie. And it's important that if he's not good, this whole movie goes to shit. And fortunately, to M. Night's cause, he does a great job holding it together to an extent.
Yeah.
Because I think this film suffers from a writing issue, first and foremost. I think that is abundantly clear from the staleness of the conversations, where the narrative eventually goes, which I think that whilst it's in the stadium, I think it actually is, it makes the most amount of sense. And then once it gets out from there, it goes downhill. But most importantly, I think that my train of thought has gone.
Choo-choo.
Choo-choo. Writing is terrible, narrative is but the core performance from Josh is really fun, and it's a clear example of M. Night going, oh, I see TikTok dances on the internet, and I went to a concert once with my daughter. What would be a good little spin on this? And I think that if this was the 90s, fucking Josh Hartnett was played by, God, give me a 90s action star.
Harrison Ford,
right?
I guess maybe a bit late.
Give me a 90s action star that fell off.
Sylvester Stallone?
Why not? Right? And put the same concept back then. But you don't have phones, right? It's just the serial killer and the cops.
It's First Blood, but set at a concert.
Boom. Done. There you go.
There we go.
I think that's a better
pitch.
movie. I think that's a better movie.
I think I was a bit let down that they actually make it out of the stadium like way too early for me in the film.
Oh my god, way too early. Way too early.
Because he's ultimately like way more concerned about getting his oldest daughter a lot of acting moments, and she fucking shits the bed. Like, Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, but like, come on. Also, I got a bit of flack for that from
You can
Kev.
do what you want when you have your own production company. Sorry, go ahead.
I know it's fine. It also makes sense that he puts his own daughter who likes to do music on a big stage to promote her music, which is fine. Like, that type of nepo stuff is like inside. It's up to him. He can do that, whatever. But if it doesn't work for the character that they set out to do, like, she is like this person who's in on the loop of like trying to catch him. Also, I never got like, they have the ticket, right? So they have the corresponding ticket, or like they have the receipt that he got the place, but I guess they don't know what seat it's for, right? It's just a receipt that says you bought this.
Okay, if you're gonna have to stop, because if we're gonna start pulling apart the plot holes, my god, man, we're gonna be here for hours.
It's like, why would they? You know, what did he purchase it with? Wouldn't they be able to figure that sort of stuff out? And then like her needing to be the opposition to him, right, for a good chunk of the film, basically leading him to lose control in front of his family. I don't know if it would have been, obviously, like Kevin said, that it doesn't make sense to do that because it would cost so much more money for a self-produced film. Like, okay, he still invested like 40 million into it. Why not get someone who's very popular, or like even a rising star? But imagine, I don't know if this is like silly or really stupid, but imagine someone who has acting experience, not the greatest, but she's fine, with Olivia Rodrigo. You put her up there, it makes sense that she's singing stuff, and then, you know, you have that sort of thing going on. I don't even like it then, because I don't think the pop star should be one of the leading three characters. I just don't see the movie play out well with that. You said you read my review, right?
Oh no, I saw your rating. I didn't actually.
It's just my rating. Well, maybe you could have a look at what I wrote, which is what I felt like was the letdown for even the part within the stadium.
Ewan said, and I quote, "This shit is a Hitman level."
Because each time you hear the what's her name, doctor, she has a doctor, the FBI lady who's a profiler, Josephine Grant. Each time you hear her talk, it's like her to give exposition of where he needs to go next. And I know he sets it up so he gets the information and he places himself there, but that's just like part of the it's not just the dialogue problem, it's also like the way you present information type problem in this movie. The way that it feels like you're just like, I don't know, the whole thing, if it were a straight Hitman adaptation and it's level stadium, I feel like it would be very good. For what he sets out to do with this killer who's being actually tracked by the FBI, the police there, it doesn't make a ton of sense. And I know maybe it doesn't need to. I've heard from some people that maybe the dialogue is part of the style, and I'm like, so we are just being stupid today. Like, okay, I guess you can write bad dialogue and just say it's style. I guess I made a bad film. It's always style. I don't know.
You can say style, but I also like to use the word identity. With films, they have an identity, right? There's a visual, audible, conversation-based identity, right? There's an identity when you watch. Easiest example I can do right now is Tarantino, because he comes to my mind as someone who goes, you can listen to a screenplay or read a screenplay and you can be like, that's a Tarantino screenplay. There's an identity to that. When you watch a Tarantino movie, there's the Tarantino identity. It's the same with Paul Thomas Anderson. It's the same with
the Bourne Identity.
Sofia Coppola is a great example. Like, I can, someone give me a Sofia Coppola movie and like, don't tell me it's a Sofia, I can tell you which one's a Sofia Coppola movie, right? There's a lot of identity when it comes to films, especially with really big filmmakers. And you'd think that someone like M. Night Shyamalan would have an identity at this point. But this film doesn't have an identity. And I realize that because there is so much happening visually from a just a cinematography standpoint, center framing, non-center framing, weird angles, weird harsh lighting environments, weird tracking. Okay, so there is a moment in this film where I realized it had no visual identity. And it's also the moment that made me audibly laugh out loud in the cinema, which at this point, no one, obviously it's not a comedy, no one had laughed, no one had been like scared or worried at this point. I couldn't feel any tension, but I laughed when you get back to the house, the Lady Raven is in this really tense moment, which I'll give it that, the tense moment was really good, and she goes, I can sing a song, and the camera pans over to a piano.
Mm-hmm.
That
it's
moment
a reveal.
was done in such a comedic way, in such a, and even Tanika said this, a Wes Anderson, or she said Scott Pilgrim, or like Edgar Wright way
so
of revealing that.
A fast pan.
Right?
Yeah.
A fast pan.
Yeah.
That shot had not been used in that way for the entirety of the film.
And
so
I see
this
a lot
film
of people
doesn't know what it wants.
praise the cinematography. And it's just like, it's all over the place. I wouldn't
It's all over the
like,
place.
there's some interesting shots, but I don't think there's
Don't
a
get me wrong.
cohesion.
There's some really good moments, but the film doesn't use them the same. They don't use them in a way that's powerful. They just use them. Like there's the moment.
Oh, but she's in the
I don't know
bathroom
what the
as well.
exact.
Like, I don't know why we stay with her when the reveal is ultimately the family's just standing outside a minute and a half later when we've already moved past, oh, we are assuming he killed them or he's done something to them. And then we get the reveal they're just standing there. But it's too late for the reveal to be effective or scary or thrilling. There's just something about the pacing that is all off as soon as they enter the house. I feel like the whole pacing is just non-existent. It's all over the place. But you were going to say something about another moment?
There's the shot of both the Doctor, Grant, and Cooper higher and lower, and they're both in focus. You know that with the I don't know what the shot is called, the split focus. And that was used. And it was just like, okay.
Well, there you are.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you going to use it again for anything else? No. Okay. That's fine. But like you've now used so many different visual storytelling techniques that it feels like you're just going to the book. It feels like you're just going to the book, right?
Yeah.
Of cinematography and going, let's do this one. This one right here. This one where velocity dolly. Let's do that one in this shot. Or let's go to this one here and do a return to subject. Like, it's weird because there is a style going on here, but the style is everything. Like, everything when it comes to, like, visual storytelling. Like, let's okay, we need to tell them that they're in this weird, like, relationship, higher and lower. She's coming in closer. Let's do the dual focus thingy. Okay, cool. We need to get focus, center frame. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Know what made me laugh? This is a hard turnaround from cinematography. The opening thing where Saleka comes out, Lady Raven, and addresses the crowd, and goes like, "So my dad ran out of me," and yada yada. This is why I'm saying this song is like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you yapping about? Like, what the fuck is happening? And then the song is like the most mid song I've heard in a while, and like it goes into that after that build up. And it feels representative of the movie. You basically say a bunch of words and then don't follow it up with something that's actually intriguing.
Like the phones thing?
The phones?
Yeah. He's like, earlier on in the film, he kind of like talks about how, you know, you're always on the phones, it's all online, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And then there's a moment where they all hold up their phones with their lights.
Yeah. If you forgive someone,
and there's a visual notice of him at the concert. Everyone's recording on their phones, and he's not. And I thought they were going to do something with like, I don't know, some online thing. Throughout the entire film, just trying to guess what the twist is going to be.
Yeah, the one thing is like, okay, he's a killer, and you are basically, you know, rooting for this guy to make it out. But that's the premise, and I feel like it does that pretty successfully. Of putting you in the shoes of the bad guy and you rooting for him to like make it out. for some reason. Like, why do we do that? But yeah, like, interesting discussion. I don't think the movie gets there in any sort of way other than to say, this is our main character, we follow him, and we don't show too much of him being bad, so we can stay invested with him, and then we try to break it towards the end where he flips and he ultimately gets brought down. But you don't need to say like this is who I am because of that. Like, obviously it hints towards like some kind of family issue where that's the cause maybe of it or whatever. But I think it doesn't show enough of him, of what makes him so meticulous as being a killer, because it wants to remain in that setting for the whole like stadium thing, and you could do that if you stick with it. But as soon as you make it out, you break that whole like contract that we set up to not show us more of what this character is capable of, because I feel like the way of making it out of that stadium is the perfect playing ground to show the sort of stuff that like what represents him as a killer, like the lying and stuff like that. I think it sets it up great that we don't need it later on that the wife says like, oh, I called it out already because you lied so well when, I don't know, with some neighbors or something like that. I think we got that from his complete like shifting of his face whenever he talks to someone when he wants something out of it. It's just also an issue of, with M. Night's movie, of feeling like a fucking idiot watching them, because he makes the most obvious thing and then he addresses it and explains it. And it's like, what the, like, it's not like this movie is made for a 6-year-old, but I feel like he'd figure it out. And I don't know why he does this hand holding. M. Night, I don't want to hold your hand. Let go of my hand. Okay? I don't care. It's too much. I feel like it's a bit all over the place. I didn't like it. Josh Hartnett, pretty good. Rest, kind of bad.
And I think that the film is swapped at the end. I think that narratively...
Did Tanika say Scott Pilgrim because Alison Pill is the wife?
No, I don't think so, but probably as well, yeah.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. Yeah. What were you saying? Fuck, sorry. Now you forgot it.
You lost my train of thought.
Train, choo-choo!
It's all over the place. Yes, it's swapped. So
it's like an M. Night movie.
Narrative, okay, visual storytelling all over the place, where I actually thought narratively at the end it was all over the place, but everything from the confrontation between Cooper and Rachel at the end was shot perfectly. Harsh, contrast, lighting, simple cinematography.
Longer shots as well, holding on them, not
longer
cutting
shots.
Too quickly. Yeah.
It was, I would say, for an M. Night movie, perfect, right?
Okay.
I didn't think the dialogue was trashy. I actually thought the dialogue flowed quite well. I actually thought the last scene of the film was fantastic, which made me feel like a fucking idiot for sitting there for another hour and like 10 minutes going, man, this movie's like mid-tier at best.
Mm-hmm. So wait, you're ending, sitting there for another hour? So the movie ended early for you, is what you're saying, or?
No, like, I'm talking about, like, you made me sit through like an hour and 10 being like shit cinematography.
And at the
shit
end you
dialogue.
liked, okay.
For them to be like, oh my god.
Sorry, you needed to have someone say that 3 times in weird dialogue for me to get it, because I'm in night mode right now.
That's all I have to say. Literally my only note was was literally this one where it was like, can I sing a song? Can I sing a quick song, Whip Pan? I had to remember that because I had to bring it up because I was fucking dying.
Can I has piano? Yeah.
Which, if, in comparison to like my like long legs notes that I wrote, like there are way more notes for long legs where that was just I can sing a quick song, Whip Pan.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even a whip pan.
By the way, I love that we haven't talked about Kid Cudi yet. The thinker.
I didn't realize it was Kid Cudi. Took me a hot minute.
Long hair and no reason for him to be in this. I don't know what the fuck this is, but it's like a cameo. And then Rust was in there as well for, I think, the opening. For one of the songs, where I think what it did decently well is like showing him different escape routes and making him like do these decisions. That's why I said like the shit feels like a Hitman level. It's also like that it feels you need to mislead, you need to, like, I don't know, steal stuff to get to your place. And at the end, you're not executing someone, you're trying to get out of it, which is also something that you need to do at the end of a Hitman mission. And it just really felt like that quite a bit. I guess you fucked with the reveal of like the impersonator, the profiler impersonating the mother, because it's also what Lady Raven does in the car. I thought they shouldn't have done it with Lady Raven in the car, and it should have been the reveal at the end that the profiler knows a bit more, because it would have made her catching him a bit more personal, and it felt like they were going up against each other. But because it was such a collective effort, and everyone else was shitting the bed like so much from all the employees and the police people who were just being kind of stupid, it kind of undercut the whole thing when she's just like a tiny part of it, when maybe the dynamic should have been solely on that, if that's where you end up. Because to the ending it builds, it's weaker because the first 2/3 of the film are not concerned with that as much. It lays like hints, but not enough to actually make that a core like element of the film. But yeah, I gave it a 2 out of 5. I didn't like it at all. It's still, with a 2 out of 5, about in the middle for M. Night, because he has a lot of 1-star movies, or 1.5 stars, so it's not even one of the worst, in my opinion. What about you, Lachlan?
I gave it a 2.5 because there was redeeming moments. There were non-redeeming moments. It made me laugh harder than any movie so far this year has gotten me to actually laugh.
Okay.
So it gets an extra little half star for the greatest comedic moment in 2024.
Good to know. If you were to pair it up with another film that people should watch alongside it, on top of it, under a trapdoor hidden in your basement, trying to wait for the monodioxide to kill you, what should they pick?
So I decided to pick a movie where you feel trapped, and it actually is a great thriller and exciting and underground and almost in one space, which, I thought this film was only going to be in the stadium, and I thought that'd be really cool, just like a one area kind of film, but decided not to do that. I picked 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, good pick. Really suspenseful thriller. You know what? If you take the letters in Trap, you replace the P with a B, then switch it around a bit, what do you get, Lachlan? Brat. Yes,
Fuck.
It's Brat Summer. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't no time for you to guess. Sorry, you're too slow. It's girly season. Yeah, Brat Summer has taken over the internet, and dude, the songs are a ton of fun. Charlie XCX has hit it. Hit it. She can hit it, and she has hit it. And also the latest song that I think came out just a few days ago, another version of Guess with Billie Eilish. Fucking banger and a half. So hey, here's me recommending some movie as an album, I guess. But if you want to have an actual double feature and not just listen to music while you watch Trap, which I guess you can't, because don't play music in a theater. You could go see The Fugitive with Harrison Ford, because he's a fugitive, and I guess Josh Hartnett as the Butcher is also a fugitive in this one, but different context. Anyways, that's it for Trap. Let us know what you thought of it and how wrong I am for giving it such a bad rating. Yeah, maybe let us know what the best M. Night movie is. We didn't do our ranking because I decided that Lachlan has not sat through some of the worst M. Night movies, and I'm not going to make them. But you can find that link below in the description. I'll add my ranking for it. But spoiler alert, Sixth Sense is way lower than you'd expect. Out in theaters this week on August 9th is Borderlands, which is going to be surely a great game adaptation. Cate Blanchett is in it, so hey, here's a reason to go see it. You can go see Hunter Schafer in the horror film Cuckoo, and it ends with Us. That's the Colin Hoover, or Colin Hoover Has You Heaving. That's how I remember her name. I think a smut adaptation with Blake Lively that is going to hit wide release. Then out in limited release, you are getting Good One and the Twilight of the Warriors Walled In. Got to catch that one in Gun. Can very much recommend it. Hong Kong set action film. Tons of fun. Lawrence of Arabia is getting a re-release in limited release. And then out on VOD and digital. You can go see Despicable Me 4. It's out on Premium VOD if you were so inclined. I don't know why, but you technically can now. Dandelion is out on VOD. Then we get KJ Appa on a bike in One Fast Move over on Prime. The Bike Riders is now streamable on Peacock. Girl, You Know It's True is out on Premium VOD. And then The Instigators will be on Apple TV Plus later this week. Then the 4th and final season of The Umbrella Academy comes out this week. I forgot to put that in. I've also seen it. It's about as good as, I guess, the previous 4 seasons, which were all kind of okay. So that's how it ends off as well. But hey, Alia Page is in it. And then Daughters over on Netflix, a heartwarming, really hard-hitting documentary about the incarcerated dads meeting up with their daughters. And then Industry, the 3rd season of that show that I've yet to catch up with, is streaming on HBO. We'll start streaming. I don't think it's coming out all in one go. Out in Swiss theaters, we are finally getting Longlegs. There you go. Finally, you get to see it as well. And then The Beast, La Bête, a Venice film from last year, is now streaming on Criterion, but also out in Swiss theaters, and I can very much recommend it. It basically takes you through the past lives of Léa Seydoux and George McKay, and basically ends up with him as an incel stalking her, but the first half is them in different lives and different time periods. It's very much really out there, but hey, worth checking out. In Australia, I didn't see anything by itself worth shouting out, but you are also getting, of course, Borderlands and Cuckoo. Next week, we are talking about Borderlands. It's time for that game. I guess that movie adaptation of the game. And yeah, Lachlan, I guess we'll have to replay all of those games in preparation for it, right? I remember playing the... When did the 3rd one come out? I think I played the 2nd or the 3rd one. But no, I played Borderlands 2 because someone in my friend group, they were itching to play it. And I'm terrible at shooters, but maybe that's something. I don't know. That's it for this week. Make sure you don't get trapped inside a huge stadium with a serial killer, and you should be fine. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye. I'm listening to this new song.
Which one?
Guess?
Hey Billy, you there?
It fucking slaps.